Hi everyone, my name is Aman from oristadba.com, and in this small video we should be seeing about how we can find out the execution plans of a query. Before we talk about the execution plans, how to find the execution plans, just a quick information about execution plans. Basically, an execution plan is actually the way Oracle Optimizer thinks how a query is actually going to run. And when we see an execution plan, which is basically the output that we're going to see by various methods in this video, we will be actually saying that an execution plan is basically the final choice that Optimizer has made to actually run a query. So let's see an example of an execution plan. So we are connecting to a PDB. It is not really important, but it could be a normal database as well. And the easiest way to see an execution plan is to actually see the plan by simply running a query or running a command called set AUTOTRACE trace explain. Now this is basically what an execution plan looks like. Now, since this video is just about looking at different methods to see the execution plan but not to explain the execution plan, so we are not going to explain different things actually about the plan, but we can actually see very clearly that this is a rather very simple plan, and this is basically about the table EMP, and this table is accessed in terms of full table scan, a certain number of rows, and it is accessed in so much time, the amount of CPU and so forth. Now in the query that we are actually having over here, we are basically actually seeing the execution plan created by a particular command called set AUTOTRACE trace explain. There are other methods as well, and let's see them one by one. So the very first thing that we do, we actually stop this AUTOTRACE. Now the easiest method that we can actually use is to actually have a particular way to see the plan by simply going for explain plan command. So explain plan for select star from EMP, and we should be getting the output as explained. Now explain plan command actually stores the plan, the theoretical plan, into a particular synonym called plan underscore table. Now this particular plan, which is going to be stored in this synonym of plan underscore table, this is actually going to be a theoretical plan, as I already mentioned. So basically, if we are actually going to be seeing the plan, we will be using a package called dbms underscore xplan dot display, and this particular package is actually going to show us the last query which is stored in the plan table. Now we are actually seeing the same output which we actually did see from the set AUTOTRACE command as well, but this particular output is considered as a theoretical output because the explain plan command does not actually run the query or execute the query. So why we should actually use this explain plan command in any time? Well, to actually see what is the thought process, or what is actually the optimizer is thinking basically to run this particular query. There are chances when you actually execute the query, the plan may differ from the plan which is currently being used by the, or currently being suggested by the explain plan command. In this demo we are not going to be showing that particular part, but still it is possible. So now we have a theoretical plan. Now to see an actual plan used by the query, the very first thing which we have to do, we have to execute the query. So we execute the query, which is select star from EMP, and now every query which is executed is basically going to be stored or going to be visible in terms of two views, $SQL and $SQL area. We are going to be just looking at the plan, so let's look at the $SQL over here, though there are differences between the two, but the $SQL has a particular ID, a particular column called SQL ID, and for the sake of clarity let's include SQL text as well. from v.sql where SQL text, like, since we know already it is this. So now we have gotten a SQL ID, which is actually the actual SQL ID of the query, which means the query has already been run. And now we can actually use the same package, select star from dbms_xplan, dbms_xplan, but we will be using a different procedure over here called display cursor. And in this display cursor, we are going to be actually entering the value of this SQL ID. Now the plan is actually going to be similar, but this is the actual plan which is going to be used by the query. Now there are chances that this particular query and its plan may not be visible to us from the v.sql because all of this is part of AWR, and it is possible that after the defined interval of the snapshot of AWR, the memory is actually going to be flushed out. In that case, the particular plan is not going to be visible from this v.sql or v.sql area, but in that case it's going to be available from the historical views of the AWR. So you may actually want to check if you do not see the plan from v.sql from DBA hist, which stands for history SQL text. So you can see that has the same SQL ID and SQL text. Now in case you don't actually have it, what you can do, you can basically create a snapshot by yourself. So you can actually basically go and execute the package dbms workload repository, make a snapshot, and you can actually go ahead and execute a procedure to create the snapshot so that you can actually have this view populated. We're not going to be doing that, it's the similar result. Now either way, the SQL ID is going to be same, but in case you want to use this particular AWR package or AWR SQL ID, then you may actually have to use the dbms xplans display_AWR, which is basically going to be the SQL ID coming up from the DBA hist SQL text. So it is not really different, it is the same thing, except now the SQL ID is going to be from the DBA hist SQL text. The last thing is that you may actually want to see the entire output or entire execution statistics plus the information about different work areas which are actually going to be a part of the query execution. And for that purpose there are going to be two views which are available, v.sql plan statistics, right, and v.sql plan statistics_all. These two are basically going to be SQL plan statistics_all. So these two views are basically going to be having the statistics information plus the work areas and all these other information actually available for the queries execution. Now you can actually make a join of these two particular views as well, and you should be actually knowing that in order to use the second one, the parameter SQL statistics, the parameter of statistics level, that has to be set to all. So SQL parameter statistics. So if you see the statistics_level, which is set to typical as a default value, this parameter should be actually set to all, so that the view SQL plan statistics_all has to be actually populated. Now of course the last method should be to use SQL trace to execute and capture the plan of the query in terms of a trace file, but we will talk about that in a subsequent video. So these are going to be some of the ways through which you can actually execute the dbms xplan package, or maybe the set AUTOTRACE option, and you can actually see the execution plans. Of course, to run these commands you should be having the relevant privileges. If you are merely a user with the user level rights, you may not actually have the access to these views or probably these commands. So if that is such the case, you should actually check with your DBA to actually grant you the appropriate privileges, or maybe to populate certain views or certain table so that you can actually access the information from there. Thanks a lot, and I hope this video is actually going to be helpful for you, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks. My name is Aman, and I'll see you in the next video soon.